New Year! You are listening to Life Insight Live with Scout Bartlett. Well, if you're listening to this show, you made it. You made it past New Year's. Congratulations. You made it past New Year's. You made it past whatever New Year's Eve celebrations you did. You made it past day 1 of January, and now you're all the way into the 3 of Janutober already. How's that for amazing? You're solidly into the year, and quite frankly, if my experience of the year this year runs at the same pace as my experience of the year at the end of 2021, you can figure that January 3rd, in about 10 seconds, it's going to be my birthday in March. Boom. Zwoosh. Any of y'all notice that? To me, 2021 was kind of like a slingshot. January, we're pulling it back. February, we're pulling, actually probably more like a catapult. January, we're cranking that catapult down against the spring. February, March, just slowly. April, May, June, July, August. And then all of a sudden, September, October, November, December, done. Went zwoosh. So I have no idea what this year is going to look like. However, at the end of each year for the last very many years, several decades, multiple decades, around the solstice time, actually the latest Sunday, and you can mark your calendar for this year already, the latest Sunday in December, it's more than 7 days before Christmas, or the 25th, however you want to look at that day, I do an event that is called the Holy Days Message, which on this year will be on the 11th. Last year it was on the 12th. It rotates. It's kind of like some of the Christian holidays where it's the first time that a bear shows their left elbow after a full moon crosses above the tree when the ocean is green, whatever. I can never figure them out. I always have to just look at the calendar. And in that message, we talked about it last week as well. If you want more information about me going into trance, go listen to last week's show. It's up on the website. Or get in your time machine and go back in time and listen. I go into a deep trance so that I get all of my thoughts and my views and my mind and my perspective out of the way, and I allow a deep and direct connection to very high-level, highly progressed spiritual beings that are a part of my own lineage and my own guidance council. The lineage for generations has been referred to as, a brotherhood of white light, or has been shortened to White Brotherhood. But unfortunately, that now sounds as if it's call it genetic preferenced angry organization, so I don't always use that phrase. But I am of the lineage of White Brotherhood. I am of the lineage of white light. And I go into this deep trance to get all of my life views, all of my personality out of the way, and allow these messages and that energy frequency to be transmitted through my body presence here into the planet, with all the disclaimers of don't try this on your own at home. I talked about it last week at length. Don't recommend it. I did a lot of training before I did it, and I continue to do training to be able to sustain it and have it be an okay thing to do. Not a brag, just a heads up. And those messages, for quite some time, have been talking about the period of time that we're reaching a crescendo in right now. And as they spoke about this transitional period of time, they gave us a lot of I've taken a lot of comfort from the messages that they gave us in the midst of stuff being sort of like stirred up. It tends to make me think a lot of when I had scraped my knee, took a corner too hard, found out that gravity versus bicycle tire friction didn't match up, and I ended up discovering that running your knee across the grader of an asphalt street peels the skin off of it. That was overly graphic. I'm still getting used to it being a new year. So I remember back to when I had a serious road rash, and my mom taught me everything you do with road rash, which is make sure that you get it completely cleaned out because you don't want any of those bits of rock and dirt healing under the skin, and then put your antibiotic on it so that you don't get any biotics in there that you don't want, and then bandage it up and leave it the heck alone. With the key part being that I have vivid memories of my mom actually telling me that when that road rash under the bandage started itching like crazy, she would actually tell me that, yep, that's a good sign. That itching means it's healing. It doesn't mean that, some rogue microbe got in there and is going to eat your leg. The itching means it's healing. And so I could take comfort from the itching sensation. Right? Because I knew that it was an aspect of healing. Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but any of y'all that are over 25, 20 maybe even if you've been paying attention, 15 if you've really been paying attention, and if you're actually picking up on it at 12, dude, way to go. Congratulations. You're way ahead of the game. But certainly those of us that are beyond our 20s, the world is a weirder place right now than it has ever been in our entire lifetime. The polarization between groups of people, the ardency and the aggressiveness around that polarization, the aggressiveness of the attacks that people are making against other people verbally about this, that, or the other, rules, businesses that have their own rules, public businesses that have rules. The mere fact that through the course of last year we got to see groups of people gather together, 3, 4, 5, 6, to go accost and make hosts and hostesses in restaurants miserable for the sheer sake of trying to get their hits on their YouTube or trying to claim they're standing up for some kind of rights, whatever. We're watching the world be a way weirder place than it's been ever in our entire lives. We're watching, and if you have elders, the elders are watching the world be a way weirder place than it's been ever in their lives. It's a weird place right now. And globally, it's a weird place. Stuff is happening and stuff is changing and change is being demanded. But part of the entertainment factor is that there's a polarization and there's two very diverse levels, two very diverse points of view, each of which is demanding that all of the changes should go toward their point of view. It's terrifying unless you let it be entertaining, and if you let it be entertaining, it's amazingly entertaining to watch this transformation on the planet in humanity. I don't know that dolphins have any Karen attacks, but humanity, to be sure. Don't know that cockroaches are having protests, but humanity, to be sure. Humanity in its forms of social interaction, humanity in its forms of governments, humanity in forms of how its governments are being chosen, and that we're seeing stuff we've never seen before. The last time we saw dictatorships joining together to try and take their thought process across the world was Hitler and Mussolini. And whoever was the Emperor of Japan, whose name is not in my head, sorry. I won't guess, because then I won't say a wrong name. But y'all get it. The authoritarian leaders of authoritarian dictatorships are now plotting and moving together to attempt to throw non-authoritarian governments under the bus so that they can get more turf. It's sort of entertaining or terrifying, depending upon your point of view. Or exciting if you really are like highly in favor of authoritarian regimes. I don't happen to be, but that's my personal prejudice. I could be mistaken. They would insist that I've been brought up with the propaganda of quote-unquote democracy and that I just don't understand the reality of human beings. Yeah, maybe they're right. I don't think so, but maybe. I certainly don't understand the concept and the mindset of authoritarian human beings. I don't get it. And all of that amazing, surprising stuff. I mentioned that a few weeks ago, on the 12th of December, I did my Holy Days message in trance, where I step out of the way and I allow members of my highest guidance council to bring their message through me into Earth. It sounded really grand, but I don't know how else to say it, because it is that. It's pretty nifty. Over the course of the years that I've been doing that in December, and there's several, we don't know exactly when it started, but I've been doing it for multiple decades. If I'd known it was going to be important, I would have made a big note about the first time I did it, but I didn't, so I didn't. Guidance has been talking about this particular crescendo of time, which, if y'all have been watching the series, on the wheel as it goes around. Guidance has been talking about this particular crescendo of time. And they've been talking about a lot of predictable and expected events that go on when we're in a huge energetic transition like the one we're in right now. And so over the many, many years that I've been doing that December message, for a period of it, they weren't talking about this initially, but for a period of that time, they've been talking about this crescendo of transitional time, that Earth, the reality we know as Earth, is being elevated in frequency from, they like to sort of shorthand it as, from being a third grade classroom to being a fourth grade classroom. Change in frequencies. And they described a lot of what goes on when we're in the midst of a change in frequencies. Their description is that this is sort of like that it was a third grade classroom, we're moving it to be a fourth grade classroom, and that the last time we did this was when we took it from being a second grade classroom, and this reality was called Atlantis, and it elevated into being a third grade classroom, which we have referred to as Earth. Not some island that sank, an entire change of reality systems. Yeah, well, play with that. Go look for the science about polarity changes on the planet. But among the normal, expected things that go on in the midst of a change of reality frequencies, among the normal things that go on in the midst of a change of reality and frequencies is a whole list of stuff that we've been seeing on the planet. This major polarity, lots of people leaving the planet in new and different and interesting ways. Leaving the planet as in passing away, not leaving the planet as in tourist rocket ships, although I would go in a heartbeat. In fact, if they'd recruit psychics for the Mars mission, I'll go even if it's one way. I think that'd be cool. Great book. Mary Roach has a book called Packing for Mars. Great book. She just brought out a new book that I haven't memorized the title of yet and that I will buy shortly. And so they've listed off this stuff that countries would be making grabs, quote-unquote religious-based or belief-based groups would be making grabs for more followers, that they'd be making huge campaigns, and that they would be attempting to prove that they have enough followers that other organizations should give up. Evangelicals attempting to wipe out Catholics, right-wingers attempting to wipe out people that aren't right-wingers that they refer to as not right-wingers, or not right at all. They mentioned all of this stuff. Guidance talked about all of this stuff as being normal mile markers of our planet being in this elevating frequency. Changes of weather, loss of beauty. They mentioned all of this stuff years back as being what we would be seeing as we moved toward the crescendo of this transition point. And to give you the full truth of it, my conscious mind is not able to wrap itself around the visions I have of the actual crescendo moment of this transition. I can't get it. It flows through and it pops out like something so startling that you just can't quite take it in. I just can't quite take it in. But I do have a lot of the surrounding parts. And when I look at it, there's a moment in time where it really looks like this huge polarization sort of unweaves itself. And this is the part that's really hard to grasp, so don't get stuck on this, or if you've got a better vision on it, email me. Where what my guidance would be referring to as the ready to graduate into fourth grade, third graders end up being unwoven from the newly graduated into third grade, second graders. No prejudice implied, it's just a learning curve. There's different lessons in fourth grade than there are in second grade, and there's different lessons that you work your way through in third grade. And if every kid entered third grade based on having completed second grade lessons, you'd have all levels of third graders in third grade, which would be kind of cool but difficult to teach as a single teacher in a room of 30 kids. Now, there's a whole lot of the, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening stuff. And there's a whole lot of, my conscious mind is projecting forward, and if what we're looking at now continues all the way forward into the future, it's going to be a mess. There's a lot of that prediction-y stuff going on. And that's what our conscious minds do, is our conscious minds take a look at what's going on now and then try to wrap their way around to predict what it's going to be, to predict where it's going to go, how it's going to be, what it's going to be. Which, isn't true. You only have to ride a roller coaster to notice that if your mind is predicting that the roller coaster is going to be going downhill, that's only for a little while. Then it'll be going uphill, then it'll be going corkscrew, then you'll have the loss of gravity. And if your mind was going to grab onto that and go, oh my gosh, there's no gravity anymore, I'm going to float away. Nope, you slam back down into the seat of the roller coaster. There you are, you're back again. Right? But our minds do that. And so there's a whole lot of places where our minds are, our conscious mind parts of us are sort of freaking out. That it's all going to be awful. Everything's going to be awful. It's all going to be a riptide of awful. You'll see. It's just all going to be awful. Not true. And here's the other side of the coin. In the midst of all of this stuff that's making people crazy. And when people are crazy, people who are crazy kind of like lash out this, that, and the other direction because they want to protect from crazy. It's really true. You start making changes, people start resisting the change, and they resist it with life or death levels of, not in my world. I want to see the owner. I want to see the manager. I want to be in charge of this. I want it to stay exactly the way I want it. Don't you dare change the menu at my favorite restaurant. And that's what we're watching. But at the same time, here's the upside. The frequency of planet Earth has already increased over the course of the last several years. And one of the really cool parts of that is that things you hold in thought come about in reality at a much faster rate than they used to. The time delay between thought and thing has decreased significantly, like a whole bunch. The time delay between thought and thing has decreased a whole bunch. Just how it works. But I really want to point this out, because every now and then I'll have a client, and they're calling me up to do work on a physical challenge that they're experiencing, and then they'll tell me that they're hesitant to tell me, because if they say it, then it becomes real, and they'll make it real, and that's not how it works. I mean, quite frankly, if just saying a thing or thinking a thing once, if just saying a thing or thinking a thing once would create a reality of it, then every time they drew lotto numbers, there'd be 7 billion winners. Everybody would win the lotto if just saying it once made it happen. I don't know, if just saying it once that my mom makes the best lasagna in the world would make that happen, then all of a sudden everybody would be busily replicating your mom's lasagna because it was the best lasagna in the world. And, there'd be lasagna vendors and whatever. Life-changing for your mom. All right. I want to break away for a moment because at the half-hour point, we teach our live beam meditation, LIVE, Life Insights Vertical Energy Beam Meditation. And so I want to teach that to you. And we're going to work with that. We're going to meditate together for about 2 minutes and 45 seconds. So let me give you a couple of pro tips. Number one, if you're currently operating a motor vehicle, please, when I invite you to close your eyes, don't. Keep them open, pay attention, because the people around you aren't. Public service announcement. If you're on a bicycle, you belong on the same side of the street with the traffic. Yes, pedestrians where there is no sidewalk are supposed to walk facing traffic. Bicycles belong on the same side of the street with the flow of traffic, and you're supposed to at least acknowledge, even if you don't follow, the traffic signals like stop signs and stoplights and stuff. Please. And then the third element we want to give you is that Carlos is going to look deep in his crystal ball, and he's going to learn a huge, important piece of information for you. If your mind just jumped up and said, I can't possibly take a 2-minute and 45-second meditation break out of the middle of what I'm doing right at the moment, what I'm doing is way too important. Carlos, what does your crystal ball tell them you know about them?
You might be wound up a little bit too tight.
Yeah, might be. Uh-huh. It's like the drivers, and I confess, my GPS taught me this. It's like the drivers that are zipping in and out of traffic to get to the place that they're going 20 minutes sooner. And, the place they're going, let's say it's 30 minutes away, and their GPS will tell them that in and out of traffic wound them up so tight and gained them 1 minute on their arrival time, not 30. Yep, you might be wound up a little bit too tight. So with that said, just light somewhere. Set yourself down and let your eyes go closed, unless you're driving. And just draw in a long, deep breath till your lungs are full and let that air flow out again. And as you're ready for another breath, let it be a long, deep breath. And this time, imagine that air flowing out through your body as if your body was made of layers of silk or fabric. And with each breath, let that air flow in and imagine letting it flow out through your body, feeling your body open and expand. And in your imagination, I'd like you to imagine reaching down to the center of this planet Earth and stirring that warm, rich, dense energy there. Curl that imaginary hand into a cup now and use that cupped hand to pull a surge of Earth density energy right up through the Earth, directly beneath you, right on up and into your body, just in front of your tailbone. It's just energy passing through energy. Just pull that right on up through the Earth, right on up and into your body, just in front of your tailbone. And connect it there. There's an energy center, a chakra right there. Let yourself match that warmth at the center of the Earth all the way up through the Earth to the warmth right there at tailbone. And now stretching that streamer of Earth energy up deep inside your body, just in front of your spine, draw that energy streamer up through your abdomen, through your chest, deep in front of your spine, through your neck, on up through your head, and stretch it out the top of your head and all the way up and into what I'll call source, big energy cloud up overhead. Take it right on in, pop it right on in, creating a geyser of energy from the center of the Earth right up through the middle of your body, out the top of your head, geysering up and into source. You're uplifting, transmuting physical level energy into source. And willfully now, using your will, because that's how we navigate here, will it to be more energy surging up that beam, richer, denser, faster, brighter. Just make it more energy surging up that beam. More. You may feel it expanding or even warming the beam, but allow yourself to just relax and let that beam create a glow from deep inside of you, glowing right out through you and right out through everyone and everything around you. Floors, chairs, walls, ceilings, people, baby ducks, baby rhinos, scout redeeming newspaper-worthy lotto winnings, whatever you've got in your surroundings. Just let that light glow right on out through you and right out through everyone and everything around you. And if you can, go ahead and stay with that meditation, coming back to that vertical beam focus again and again and again, all the way through to the end of the program. If you need to bring your full attention back to whatever it was you were doing, then now would be the time for you to give your body a big breath. And as you let it out, just let it bring your eyes back open and bring you right on back into the room. Welcome back. So I'm talking about that it's not just random thoughts that float through the front of our conscious mind that create our manifestation magneticness. Because that's how it works. It's all magnetics, kind of. The closest analogy I can have. It's all magnetics. And those thoughts that we put the most juice on are more magnetic than those thoughts that we don't put the most juice on. Came out weird, but that's what I was meaning to say. Those thoughts that we put the most juice on have more juice than the thoughts we don't put the most juice on. So there. But you'll notice it's not the thoughts that run across the surface of our mind that have the most juice. It's those ning-a-ning-a-ning-a-ning-a-ning-a-ning-a-ning-a-ning-a-ning-a repetitive thoughts that run across the back of our mind, not geographically, but conceptually. It's those ning-a-ning-a-ning-a thoughts that run across the back of our mind that have the most juice. Because they're repetitive. They circle, they cycle, they run over and over and over. And so that's the place where you want to work your way in, the amygdala. That's the place you want to work your way in and clear out those repeating expectations of garbage outcome and replace them with recurring coming back to your heart self, your spirit, your essence, your inherent nature. Replace them with circles and loops of thoughts of you retraining your mind, coming back again and again and again and again and again to that innermost part of your nature that is most connected to your highest spiritual awareness and beingness, or God, whatever word you like. It's coming back to those. It's coming back to those again and again and again. Reopening and rebuilding that as our subconscious thought loops. Not in a just everything in every way is getting better and better. Every day everything is better and better, whatever. Not just in that, but you can use affirmations to find the parts of your brain that argue with your affirmation. You can use an affirmation of when the jack-in-the-box of life startles me to fear, I come back to, that's a reminder to come back to my essence, which is a lot of words, but you can use it as a startlement means come back to my core and glow. Startlement means come back to my core and glow. And then you listen for the argument. No, it doesn't. I need to take care of it. I need to fight back. I need to push back. I need them to know they can't do that to me, blah, 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 blah. And when you find those arguments in your own mind, everybody's always been against me. Everybody always gangs up on me. Everybody always talks about me. It's always a place where everybody's making stuff up, and everybody fights me, and everybody does, yeah. Every time you can notice those counter-arguments in your mind, interrupt the counter-argument, come back to your glow, your essence, and light you up with your sense of joy and heart. Build that practice in the back of your mind of seeing the beauty in life. I saw a thing online where somebody wrote a short dissertation. They basically said, the headlines are screaming, marriage is breaking everywhere. I'm writing my own mental headlines. I'm skipping those headlines. I'm not taking them into the heart of me. I'm writing my own headlines that say, yesterday I saw a husband gently hug his wife in the grocery store. Marriage tighter and warmer than ever. Children are being difficult. I saw a child being beautiful in the grocery store, loving their parent. Children are more loving than ever. It was a lovely article of rebuilding our focus in the midst of the cacophony of headlines that are driving toward us against them concepts. Truly we are. I am me and you are you. But we are all part of a bigger connectedness at our spiritual core. Among the things that are the signals of what's going on the planet right now, we include, again, the time delay between building a focus in the back of your mind and having that show up in your world is decreasing. I can observe it that if I'm out and about with people or even, connecting with people on the phone, if I'm expecting grumpiness, they give me grumpiness. But when I keep overriding the part of my brain that's like, no, just and come back to bright light, that every time I encounter grumpy in my own mind or outside of my mind, I'm going to use that as a trigger to bring me back to my state of centered and lit. All of a sudden I notice that I get warmer and more supportive responses from the people around me. Everywhere. All over the place. I get warmer responses from the people around me if I'm in that centered state, because then that's what I'm magnetizing and manifesting. And so I am magnetizing a beautiful world of people refinding their sense of connection and of this elevation of spirit moving smoothly and elevating. And of course, those of you who listen to the first part, I sort of am egotistically convinced that I'm part of the fourth graders ready to graduate, as opposed to that I'm part of the second graders fighting the transition. I might be right. And if I'm not right, if I'm not right, maybe I'll be able to stay fully in my Dunning-Kruger effect and never figure that out. That's okay, too. Because I'm very clear that that as much as I do communicate with and grasp that spiritual concept of the much higher reality, I'm very clear that I don't know it all. Part 1. The time delay between thought and thing is decreasing. Part 2, many of you have noticed this already, and some of you with some craziness about it. I mean, I joke about it, but it is true that the same giftedness that I use in the intuitive part of the work I do with people, that Linda was just thanking me for, was also making me crazy till I came to terms with it. During the period when I was opening, it was hugely crazy-making and debilitating. So, on one hand, it's a gift, but on the other hand, it's debilitating. And the second piece that I want to talk about that's going on right now is that this increase of frequency in the reality of Earth is opening, increasing, dialing up the volume on everybody's intuitive part. Now, I happen to be a person that thinks not everybody has an intuitive part. Your belief system's yours, whatever you want. But those of us that have it, it's dialing up. And as it's dialing up, it's sort of weirding people out. Not always. Some people are going into battle with it. Some are going into denial with it. Some are fighting with it really hard. And if you're willing to embrace it, you'll notice that you're getting more and more elevated and clear intuitive input, which does not necessarily come in words and visions. It's one of the fun parts of our First Friday Spirit Talk. One of the other members of our panel is clairvoyant. I am clairsentient. I feel it, they see it, and the third member of the panel is intellect-based. He figures it out. All of our paths are different. And so our intuitive part is being elevated. The intuitive part of us is being elevated because the frequency of our reality system is being elevated. Just makes sense, right? So the frequency of our reality system is being elevated. The intuitive aspect of ourself is being elevated. And quite frankly, you don't have a vote on that. No more so than you have a vote that if you get into a hot tub and you stay in the hot tub, you don't have a vote on whether or not your body temperature is going to be elevated. It just is, because that's where you are. Well, the intuitive part of you being elevated, it just is, because here is where you are. Well, you do have a vote if you end up leaving the planet, but other than leaving the planet, it's just an is. It's just a, that's how it's going to work. You're on board, enjoy the ride. And that's the point. You're on board, enjoy the ride. Don't let it startle you. Don't let it freak you out. Don't let it throw you out of balance. And don't decide that you have to either fall into it all the way or not at all. Just let yourself observe and take in. Consciousness is about noticing the information you're taking in from your five senses, from your subconscious, and from your sixth sense is. It's just noticing that information, taking it in. That's the deal. Ride with it, relax into it. And of course, my recommendation is build yourself a meditation practice that you do every day that brings you back to that heartfelt, spiritual, uplifted, able to remember the beauty of life part of you. Build yourself a meditation every day that brings you back to the part of you that's able to remember, connect with, and realize the beauty in life and the beauty in aliveness and the beauty in a sense of profound spiritual connection. Every day. Whether that's take a walk and look at the beauty around you and interrupt your thought process, whether that's sit in a chair and do a focused meditation, a seated meditation, whether that's get out in your garden and do your gardening every day and be focused on releasing your thoughts and coming into the part of you that remembers the joy and beauty of life, whether it's an aerobic workout with some electronic device that's cheering you on as part of a Peloton team. Interrupt your thought process while you're being cheered on, and bring your focus back again and again and again to your breath and the sense of beauty in life, not making an ad for any particular exercise company. And I could rephrase it, whether it's you doing your exercise workout with your coach named Shauna, there we go, which highly recommended. That one I do make a recommendation for. All the Shaunas of the world that are exercise coaches. Build it into your day. Build it into your day that you interrupt the places where your mind, the back of your mind, goes off on a grumpy rant, where the back of your mind is throwing a rantrum. Build it into your day to regularly interrupt the places where the back of your mind is throwing you into a rantrum, and retrain those ranty parts into an interrupt, and then bring yourself back to an experience you had that was beautiful and connected you to your sense of beauty. You can use the same experience every time. In fact, I recommend that. Or you can layer it. That experience plus another memory. That experience plus another memory. Those memories plus another memory. You can layer them. But build it into your daily pattern that you are frequently, regularly, often interrupting your internal mind chatter to come back to present and place yourself back in a state of you in your most uplifted state. Why? Because the time delay between thought and thing has decreased. The more you regroove even the back of your mind chatter, the more you regroove that back of your mind chatter to groove it toward coming back to your essence and your state of beauty or love, the more you regroove it and come back to your essence and your own state of love, the more that's what you'll be magnetizing, manifesting, and bringing into your reality. But you'll also then be magnetizing the reality around you to match toward that, so that will be projecting a magnetic that could well uplift the people around you to remember their core essence and to come back to their essence, and to remember their core essence and then they trigger people to remember their core essence and come back to their essence, and they trigger people to remember their core essence and come back to their essence. Just by how you're carrying your own energetic self deep inside you. But more to the point, that's what you'll be magnetizing toward you. More to the point, every time that you're building a practice to come back to the part of you that remembers beauty and love or essence or spiritual high, you're making it easier for you to adapt to the opening of your additional sensing, opening inside of you. You're making it easier for you to adapt to the fact that the increase of frequency on the planet is opening your intuition more than it was. And I will tell you that our vertical beam and glow through practice is a tremendously potent practice, and it's taught at the half hour of every single radio show. So go grab it from this show, go grab it from any of the recorded shows. It's also up on the website. That practice of having a vertical beam through the center of you, connecting earth core to source, and from that allowing you to glow and letting your glow shine out through you and through everything and everyone around you. That Life Insights vertical energy beam, or the live beam practice, allows you to have your own intuitive space, your own energy field, while at the same time allowing you to come back to your center and smooth your energy field and smooth your centered state from that center of you while your world is rotating and pivoting on new axes around you. in the world of manifestation, this one's really fun. Y'all have heard testimony that we have that's Rachel. When I scored my 7th continent, when I scored that I had done sessions with people remotely on every continent on the planet, it was Rachel who gave us a testimonial to that, and you've heard her. Well, here's the fun part of manifestation. What are the odds? Right now, there are 2 clients who have worked with me or done classes with me or both, who are both at the McMurdo Station on Antarctica. So I have 2 clients on Antarctica that I've done sessions with. And here's the fun manifestation part. What are the odds? They're both named Rachel. There you go. You can't have a weirder world than a world that flows like that. So, come back to your center, magnetize joyful and glorious and multi-Racheled magnetizations and manifestations into your world, and do me 2 more favors. Treat yourself as a loved one, because you truly are, and just recognize no matter where on earth you are, it's a perfect day, even in Antarctica, to have a great day on purpose. Which seems like a perfect place for me to go ahead and notice that the clock says it's time for me to break away to identify the station. We'll give you our website. Stick around. I got a lot more to say.
On 1450 just for you. San Francisco.
Hi, this is Phil from Palo Alto, California, and I've just left a session with Scout, and I feel absolutely energized, feeling like I can tackle the day.
Yeah, New Year. You are listening to Life Insights Live with Scout Bartlett. That's right. You are listening to Life Insights Live with Scout like Pathfinder, Bartlett like Pears, originating from our flagship studios of KEST 1450 AM in San Francisco, syndicated and simulcast around the world on www.ifidknownthen.com, www.ifidknownthen.com. Life Insights Live, the radio show, has been recognized as the longest-running major market personal growth radio program in the nation. We're pretty darn proud of that, and so we have archived a gazillion, plus or minus 2, episodes up on our website. They're available to you for no cost whatsoever, hundreds of hours of personal growth and metaphysical teachings, all right there for you. You may have to register to get some of the older recordings, but we don't buy, steal, sell, or monetize that information in any way whatsoever. In fact, we don't even put you on our mailing list from that. We force you to volitionally put yourself on our mailing list, so that you can never accuse us of having put you there and spammed you. We don't even spam very much. We don't send out a ton, maybe once a week. So we'd love to have you do that. We'd also love it if you'd go in and like Life Insights up on Facebook, Subtext Educational, Life Insights Subtext Educational. And we'd also love it if you would go into YouTube and look for First Friday Spirit Talk. And you'll find one of those with my picture on it. And just go in and subscribe. I mean, I'd love for you to listen to those. They're fun events. But just click subscribe. In fact, gather up your entire outlaw preschool pickup gang and get them all to go in and click subscribe. We'd love it if they'd listen, but we don't care. We just need the numbers. And also there is a Scout Bartlett YouTube channel, and we'd love for you to subscribe there also. It's just numbers of subscribers open up features in YouTube that we can't get to till we get the numbers. So, we'll have you do it rather than go pay for some overseas fake subscriber service to create fake subscribers. We'll have you create fake subscribers for us. Thanks. And this Friday the 7th, is the first Friday of the month. And so at noon, we'll be doing the First Friday Spirit Talk, or as I like to say, have a psychic for lunch, Noon Zoom. And then Friday evening, I have committed to restarting my Once of the Month lecture series. It's a 12-cycle mystery school. And Friday evening, the 7th, I'll be doing the first of that series. We're going to look to see if it works for me to have them on first Fridays. And that'll be What's All This Change All of a Sudden? More about what we're talking about today, except I'll have a whole hour and a half of workshop to do it. And that'll be up on Zoom. And so you'll want to be on our mailing list so that you can, and on our Facebook page, so that you can get the announcements and get the access and be able to come into those. We'd love to have you join that series. Boom. That was it.
Hi, Scout. It's Linda in Coram, New York. First heard you on the radio on my way to work in 1999. Thank you for all your great work, everything you've done for me. The world is a better place because of you. Have a great day on purpose.
Wow. All of the testimonials today are just touching me all the way into the core of me. I guess it's because we're just coming through the holidays. So sweet. Thank you, Linda. And we'd love to have yours as well. If listening to the program, or if working with Scout, or if working in the LEAP LEAP program have brought you significant and specific benefits, we'd love to hear about that. You can call and just put it on our voicemail, first name, town you live in, what you want to say. Or you can record that in a voice memo or video or voice only, the audio only of a Zoom, and email it to us. First name, town you live in, what you want to say. We'd love to have that. Thank you very much. And then we'll put you up on the air so that people can find out that you benefited, and it's not just me saying, wow, I do good work. You ought to use me. By the way, off to the side, we're talking about the messages from the Holy Days message. You can also email me to order a copy of that. It's $20. And you can have the audio or the video or both of those files. We're going to break away, speaking of past, to identify the station upon which we broadcast and to give you our website, so stick around. I got more to say.
on 1450 just for you.
San Francisco.
Hi, I'm Tara, calling in from San Luis Obispo. I want to say thank you, Scout, for your healing classes and personal empowerment classes. They have changed my life. Because of them, I have many tools in my spiritual toolkit. Because of them, I am a formidable warrior of love. Thank you, Scout.
Yeah. Ah. You're listening to Life Insights Live with Scout Bartlett. That's right, you are listening to Life Insights Live with Scout like Pathfinder, Bartlett like Pears, originating through the flagship studios of KEST 1450 AM in San Francisco, syndicated and simulcast around the world on www.ifidknownthen.com. www.ifidknownthen.com. Life Insights Live, the radio show, has been recognized as the longest-running major market personal growth radio program in the nation. We're pretty darn proud of that, so we have archived a gazillion, well, plus or minus 2, episodes of this show up on our website, available to you absolutely free. Hundreds of hours of personal development and consciousness and metaphysical information right there for free. In exchange for that, we ask that you separately sign yourself up for our mailing list. Please do, so you can keep track of what we're doing. And I want to remind you again that this Friday is the first Friday of the month. And so at noontime, I'll be up on the panel with Ginny Brown and Christopher Mitchell, doing our first Friday Spirit Talk, which I refer to as Have a Psychic for Lunch Noon Zoom. But then Friday evening, you'll get the information from our website, from our mailer, if you sign up for the mailing list. Friday evening, I'm going to be restarting my 12-cycle mystery school with a once of the month. We're intending right now to do it on the once Friday of the month. Basically the same night that we do the first Friday Spirit Talk. This will be the once of the month Friday. On the once of the month Friday, and this once of the month Friday evening, it'll be What's All This Change All of a Sudden? More of what we're talking about today, but I've got more time then, so we can go into it more deeply. Join us. And that event's like $15, and the series will be inexpensive on purpose.